Avatar. All right, PR PhD here.
And this is Mudita Heart here after a long hiatus.
After you watched the Hobbit movies and Lord of the Rings and now Avatar 2, you've accumulated 5,000 hours of movie watching in 1 week.
Yeah. This was it's a fun week for me.
Yeah.
It's been this, and this as of recording this is the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of time off.
Yeah.
I've been sick most of the week too, so I've just had a lot of time to watch movies and relax and stuff. But it's been quite a fun time. I rewatched Lord of the Rings. I watched it before, and this is my first time watching the Hobbit trilogy as well. And maybe we'll talk about that sometime as well. But the main focus today is going to be Avatar 2.
Which is 3 hours and 19 minutes.
Is it really that long? Jesus. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the sequel to the 2009 film Avatar, directed by James Cameron.
Which is just called Avatar.
And then this one is called Avatar 2 Way of Water?
No, it's just Avatar The Way of Water.
Avatar Way of Water, and it's a franchise now. They have a theme park attraction in Disney. And
they have a few, yeah.
And they have 2 attractions, I believe. There's
different parks, and
right.
It's really big in Shanghai because at the peak of Chinese economic growth, or the climax or whatever the ascending thing, it was Avatar was there.
Right, and back in 2009, this movie was really well known for being an IMAX and 3D at the time, which was supposed to bring people back into theaters as Netflix was kind of encroaching on things.
Meanwhile, they have no Star Wars because they don't know anything about Star Wars.
There really wasn't any Star Wars back then. It was just
it's not in the theme parks there, yeah.
It's just
not in Shanghai at least, yeah.
It was just the beginning of Iron Man at the time in 2009 as well.
It was the second film,
Marvel.
I think.
Okay, so it was there was.
Oh, that was the first film. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking of the third Dark Knight movie. Yeah.
Okay, so there really wasn't a super big, crowded blockbuster space.
Yeah.
At the time, which is now completely dominated by Disney.
Yeah.
And now Avatar is also owned by Disney since they've acquired Fox.
Yeah, and there's all this stuff about HBO Max and everyone else we don't really care about outside of maybe Amazon Prime and Netflix.
Right. So yeah, we're in a very different climate now in terms of the blockbuster scene. And it's 13 years later. This movie came out.
3 of the top grossing films are Wakanda Forever and Avatar 2. So Disney got 2 out of the 3.
So yeah, the magic number 2 here.
Yeah.
Also, in an interesting kind of parallels here, Black Panther 2 is also sort of based around...
As we haven't watched it, but based on the first one.
Yeah, it's sort of based around people of the people of Wakanda in Africa, and then in Avatar, it's sort of inspired.
There's more technology in this one than the last one.
Yeah, it's more about Afrofuturism and
Afrofuturism,
and Black Panther, whereas this is more based around the meeting of an alien species, a native alien species versus advanced technology of humans.
Yeah.
And both have colonial narratives going on in there.
Yeah.
But in a sci-fi fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So the basic premise of this is that Jake Sully is back with his family this time.
Yeah.
And they have to escape a new threat.
Yeah.
Which is similar to an old threat, and
it's a little bit too similar, and they sort of don't make the most of it, and they sort of ruin it.
Yeah, and then as a result, they need to join a water tribe, hence the Way of Water, and then you see a bunch of water effects, and you're here to see all the stuff floating in the water and stuff like that.
And we'll get into the pros and cons of that too.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of stuff to get into with that. And then another thing going into this is that this is setting up a franchise now.
Yeah.
Before, Avatar was just one movie, and people were like, okay, we're done with it, it's fine. But now it's theme parks, now it's merchandise, now it's, we gotta make a franchise, we gotta make 5 movies, it's got a cinematic universe. Disney doesn't have enough franchises, they don't have enough Marvel, Star Wars, they gotta have Avatar now. So Yeah, might as well make another franchise. Well,
I complain a lot about Marvel Cinematic Universe, but like the beginning of them setting up the franchise was alright.
Yeah.
This one, eh.
Yeah, we'll get into that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all the things there.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the general thoughts and impressions of this to start with? I guess.
So I'll say this. I've been saying this.
I think we'll start with the non-spoiler review first,
Yeah.
and then we'll do a full spoiler review after this.
First hour felt very good, and the second 2 hours, like nothing makes any sense. But it looks very pretty, and how they made the filmmaking is excellent. But the story is run by like 5 different people, so like there's issues.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour. They're trying to make this 3-hour epic movie.
Yeah.
They have 5 different writers.
Yeah.
They were writing it over a series of like 4 years while simultaneously filming things from this movie and the next 2 movies after this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of messy as a result.
Yeah.
And also they're trying to coordinate all these special effects and
Which are really expensive.
really expensive. They had a 900 million gallon tank of water to do underwater motion capture. This isn't like staged. So they actually got underwater motion capture technology working.
And on top
they
of
didn't stage the underwater. It's actually like people who were underwater doing like motion capture and stuff. And they figured out the technology for it. So really big budget. $450 million budget for this film.
and this is only one film of the franchise. And, like you have to keep in mind like all this AMC stuff is going on, like the streaming apps, and like the revenue's just not as huge as it used to be.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a problem. I bet the budget. Well, I think the thing is the budget he spent on was like early on. Like if he had spent this budget right now, like it'd be a lot cheaper, since like the technology's caught up and like they've figured out cheaper ways of making the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I guess they just got money to burn to like just throw it. Like if you can make us $1 billion, we'll throw more money at it.
Yeah. There you go.
Like if we already have enough money in our coffers, if you can make more money, even if it costs more, we'll give you more money.
Yeah.
Just seems like the time's right for that.
Yeah.
Seems like just more, whatever you can do to print money.
And
here.
like it's Disney, it's Star Wars, it's Marvel, it's Pixar, it's Avatar, Alien, whatever.
They're gonna do Tron. There's gonna
Tron
be
again?
There's gonna be a Tron 3 coming out at some point.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah, I'm
Still
I'm
no
not,
Black Hole 2
I'm
yet.
honestly not that excited about it.
Oh,
But
really?
even though I like Tron Legacy a lot, but
I mean, I have this whole podcast on Tron Legacy. Not about Tron Legacy, but like Top Gun Maverick. So there could be something there.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same director.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, same director as Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
So this movie, I also feel like it does like live up to like this. I feel like when most people are gonna be going into watching this, they want a big blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
They want a spectacle.
Yeah.
Avatar: Way of Water. You want cat people. You want an ocean and beautiful marine life. And you also want epic battles, and like that's pretty much what you get here. The story itself, I feel like, is a little so-so, but you know, I feel like most people are gonna be okay with that. But I think for the purposes of like being a blockbuster movie that people will want to watch at the end of a very long year, and
It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel.
It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel.
It's
more.
It's pseudo diversification.
It's more Avatar. It's definitely more Avatar. You definitely get more of what you.
It's a sequel to Avatar, which works.
It gets you thinking back into the mindset of like, oh yeah, this was a movie I watched 13 years ago.
Yeah.
While also being like, oh, like there's gonna be more movies after this. Okay, sure.
It's not a
So,
like Top Gun Maverick. It's a success, unlike the Independence Day sequel.
Yeah, so it's got to do a lot of things at once. It's got to both be a big blockbuster. It's also got to be a sequel to one of the world's biggest blockbuster.
Yeah.
And it's also got to set up a franchise that's going to make, like, they already earmarked a budget of like $1 billion to make these sequels after this movie.
Oh, really?
So I think they're expecting this whole franchise to make like $5 billion, $4 billion, $5 billion or something. Box office. So they're really banking on this to be really big. So you know, it seems like if they're willing to throw money at it, like
Yeah.
So it's got a lot to live up to, and maybe as a result they have to like shave a lot of edges off, and maybe so many edges that like you basically, you know, it's like so. Even though it's like at the same time, even though there's edges shaved off, it's like still got to be 3 hours and feel like an epic movie or whatever.
Yeah.
For like a general audience or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. Also, what happens in the movie? We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, let's get to the spoilers, right?
So like just a little bit, just like the base premise even. Like so, it's Jake Sully and his family. It's his wife from the first movie. It's 2 biological children. And
Three?
2. Oh yeah, it's like 3 biological.
Wait, is it 2 sons and 2 daughters or something?
There's 2 sons, 2 daughters, and an adopted boy, who's like human.
Yeah.
Who's like not owned by anyone. And,
Related.
Yeah, and then there's an adopted daughter. I'm losing track of the numbers here.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 2 biological children, 1 adopted daughter who got born from Sigourney Weaver's Avatar character from the first movie.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Who passed away.
Yeah, right.
I don't even remember that happening until they reminded us in this movie.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. It's if you didn't watch the first movie, you're gonna be very lost in this movie.
And then there's also the feral child who's like joined the Avatar. He's not really feral. He's actually
he talks
he talks normally.
Or at least I think they do because
They
it's hard to say.
They act like he's.
It's
feral.
hard to say because like
He just
they speak English, but like that's just to like make it easier opposed to like them speaking Na'vi the whole film.
Yeah, but they also speak Na'vi the whole time. And,
I don't know if it like if it's like
they have subtitles and
I don't
stuff.
know if it's like they translate the Na'vi into English or.
I think they go, or it could be that they go back and forth. Also.
I thought it was just like a Star Trek moment where they just made it easier by making it in English, yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know. Yeah. And yeah, and then there's the 2 sons. One is the older son who's like the warrior, and then the younger son who's always trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
And going off on adventures and stuff.
Which is fun.
And getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And it creates this dynamic where there's like this kind of military dad.
Yeah.
And the kids are always getting into trouble.
Yeah.
And then there's also the younger daughter who's like tagging along, but like really young.
Yeah.
And more helpless in this movie where there's a lot of conflict and stuff. And then what kind of drives this conflict for most of the movie is the fact that the colonel from the first movie who died, where you're like, okay, I guess we won't see him again. Let's see who else we got. We do see a general briefly in this movie, but they bring the colonel back for this movie in this weird thing where like, okay, we're going to combine your memories with this avatar body.
I mean,
that has so many implications that they just throw in here that you can do that. But I guess you can do that. Why not? I don't know.
I mean, it's like
it's weird.
They do this in Tokusatsu. They do this in anime. Like,
I guess why not
the sequel villain? The sequel to the villain is the clone of the villain or something like that.
Yeah, they bring back a clone,
or a mech or a AI or whatever, which he sort of is. Yeah.
Right. So like he's cloned. They cloned his memories from his dead body into an avatar body, and he's full avatar. It's not even like a remotely controlled.
The thing is, like, his character's so terrible.
Full Na'vi.
Like, he doesn't give a shit that he's a clone.
Yeah. Of all the people they clone the memories of, they chose a real hard ass to like.
Who doesn't give a shit that he's a clone?
Yeah, or that he's Na'vi even for that matter.
There you go. Yeah. It's like, wow, I can shoot stuff better. I can fight stuff better this way.
And then like vaguely like they throw in that the whole point of this is to like get the planet settleable for humanity or something. Yeah. But that's like in such a brief line that like that you just kind of.
If you miss the line, like it screws up the whole movie, and like it doesn't even need that. Yeah.
Yeah, but and then later on it becomes about other things. But anyway, this drives a lot of the action. Jake Sully's family is chased away because they find out that like he's gonna be causing problems for the forest Na'vi people, so he goes to join a remote village of ocean Na'vi people.
Yeah.
And
the way of water.
And then he learns the way of water, learns to be with them, learns to blend in, but then eventually, of course, conflict finds them inevitably.
Yeah.
And then there's adventures in the water.
Yeah.
There's like beautiful whales. There's sea life. There's sea anemones. There's fish. There's all kinds of stuff. I don't
It's
know.
the Abyss. It's Titanic.
It's Under the Sea.
Under the Sea. Darling, it's better.
What else? It's like I kind of got the vibe that it was the music from the.
Some of it I felt like was Disney. Yeah.
Sometimes it made me think of like the episode of Simpsons where
Under the sea.
Homer's in the 3D world, and like they're playing the MIDI music or whatever. Yeah. Like it's like a Windows screensaver from 1995 or whatever.
Yeah.
But of course it was in beautiful 3D, and yeah, no criticisms on the 3D effects and visual effects of this movie. And
it's really good film quality. Probably part of it was because the movie the cinema, they gave us a better film quality grain or whatever.
Yeah, I like.
Part of it was just they might have just filmed it better. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't normally go out to see a 3D movie.
Yeah.
Like, and we saw some previews of 3D movies too, which I'm like, oh, these are all in 3D. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like 3D's coming back. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll come back. I mean, for 3D for some of these.
That's the only appeal of going to the theater now. Yeah.
I guess so. It's
like
2009 all over again.
The price of the movie is very low compared to food.
Yeah.
And like the food inside the theater is like $5.
Yeah, it was like $16 for a ticket, and I'm like, wow, with inflation, that's $5.
Yeah.
That's like, you could. Yeah, like some places they charge you $150 a ticket for seeing a live show.
Yeah.
Or like they charge you like $10 for a hot dog or whatever.
No, it's like $40 or whatever it is.
So like $16 for a 3D movie ticket.
Yeah.
And you can
the movie's longer than most concerts.
I'll actually recycle the glasses this time.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, why not? Yeah, I'll help the environment.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh man, this ticket costs so much. I'm gonna sneak this away.
Yeah.
But so it seemed like a good value, and like you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
And just by the visual effects alone, and like also they have a lot of really good practical effects too.
Yeah.
Like there's a sequence where they sink a whole ship and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a whole amazing set piece there.
Yeah.
They were just recreating Titanic a little bit with that. But it was, I don't know, it worked in Titanic, so why not do it again?
There's something about the casting that's very interesting about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it?
We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Okay.
I still don't know who she is.
I think she's the Water Tribe person. I think.
Wow. That's okay. I'll ask later. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know where else we got to go from here in terms of this non-spoiler part.
Yeah, we can take a break now.
Overall, like visual effects are great.
Yeah.
Well worth the 3D.
Yeah.
The story is
the problem.
The problem, and maybe then we'll get into that in this spoiler review.
Yeah.
But I know maybe the most interesting part of the story is how evil the villain is, because like he just keeps upping the stakes every time, and he just seems so ruthless and everything.
I don't know about that.
And if he weren't doing that, then they'd have
later on, like that becomes very stupid because of what they do with that.
Yeah, but if they didn't have that at all, they'd literally have nothing. And like in the
they
first,
could have used a different character or something.
Yeah. I also feel like
I also don't know who really wanted him to come back.
Yeah, I also feel like with the first movie, the main character wasn't that interesting. So I'm kind of glad they had the other family members take up more of the screen time.
Yeah,
because like Jake Sully, I'm like I barely remembered his name.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember his name. I don't remember any of the names of the characters in the movie. Like some of the movies, people from the first movie are gone because like they're where they transport them to the Water Tribe. Yeah,
right. And like I feel like I think they like just discarded a lot of stuff in the first movie because they're like most people aren't gonna care about most of this stuff anyway. Well,
they're like we don't have enough time to put in the screen time.
Yeah. It's not important. Yeah. We'll just move on. We need to focus on the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just move on.
Yeah.
And like we'll find some place to stick them in later. So. Yeah. And so all right. Anyway, that's our main takeaway. Great visuals, good story. No, we'll work on the story, but we'll work on talking about the story.
Yeah.
But you get your money's worth with the visual effects, and and the underwater motion capture and everything.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the effects and the set design and the
Yeah, if you look at the behind the scenes of how they did all this stuff,
that's
really
it's a one of
amazing.
kind movie so far. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like Hollywood magic right there.
Yeah.
And you really don't even have any idea of what it takes to make all this stuff
Yeah.
until you actually look into it. So
Yeah.
it's really impressive what they do.
Yeah.
But it can be very easy to forget about thinking about all that when like the story is just kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that good. But then you
That was-
actually learn.
oh, it's
how
just
they did it.
Titanic. They're just copying Titanic. They
Yeah.
have no new ideas.
Yeah, but when you actually look into how they made it and like all the amazing stuff they did, like you're
Yeah.
like impressed by it. So,
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's take a quick break,
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Yeah.
and then let's get to the spoiler
Oh
review.
shoot.
All right.
Okay.
Paused.
No.
Okay. All right. Mudita Hart signing off.
Pure PhD signing off. Yeah.
All right. Take it easy.
Easy. All right, we're back. Pure PhD here,
And this is Mudita Hart here.
and
We're continuing the Avatar: Way of Water podcast review,
yeah,
but this time with spoilers.
yep, like we normally do. Yep.
And yeah, the story we had in our, if you listen to our non-spoiler review, we
did like the story.
we mentioned some complaints about the story. Yeah, if you might. have heard.
we inferred it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought like if you're just, going out once in a while, seeing a movie, once, twice a year, relaxing, we watch your summer blockbuster, maybe watch Black Panther, and you don't
it
watch
was a
too many
kumbaya
movies.
time. There was like $5 hot dogs. I had a good time.
Yeah,
I wasn't really in a negative mood, but I can't go in the review going the story was fine because it wasn't. That would be very dishonest of me.
yeah.
And very boring. Albeit, the hot dogs were very entertaining.
Yeah, I think you were like watching another movie while we were watching the movie, right?
Yeah, like after the first hour, I was watching a bunch of Pluto TV,
Oh my gosh.
and I had a bunch of notes on it, like while I was Twitch streaming, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think?
So the first hour was very interesting. There was a voiceover, but it worked you should not have voiceovers for your films, but the voiceover part of Avatar: The Way of Water was pretty good to me.
So this was
And I felt like
yeah.
it was like a Terrence Malick film with voiceover, and that was very interesting to me. And like you had the whole concept of like, oh, the bad guy's back, except he's a clone AI thing, and that seemed like some interesting sci-fi twist to the sequel. For the sequel of the first movie,
Yeah, it felt like it
and
was.
they mentioned the whole idea about Earth is getting destroyed. They didn't move on was interesting, but they never did anything with it.
Yeah, it felt like the first part of the movie was like, okay, they're like going in a lot of interesting directions, like,
Yeah,
and like it was setting up the whole rest of the movie,
yeah,
and like it felt like there's so much potential, and like how it was being presented was really engaging.
Yeah.
Like it's introducing his family, it's introducing the villain, it's introducing the villain having new powers and stuff,
yeah,
and their new capabilities. It's also escalating things further with Jake Sully's crew, and that they're like escalating their assaults on like different trains and stuff, and there's like a big action sequence there
Yeah.
too, and like how like the Na'vi were like getting more aggressive about getting armaments and stuff.
Yeah.
While also like introducing the conflict of like how his kids were like more
militaristic.
more like trying to follow in his dad's
Yeah, I was wondering if
footsteps.
like they would go the direction of like, oh, maybe Jake Sully's a bad guy because like he just got lost in this war against the Sky People or whatever.
I don't think they were gonna go in that direction.
I think it was possible, but like they didn't end
Yeah.
up doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $450 million on the line. I don't think they're gonna make the protagonist like. They want to make the protagonist like.
I mean,
He's
I don't
supposed
know
to
how
be-
many
he's
people
supposed to
cared
be-
about the protagonist of the first film to care.
He's supposed to be like Sam Witwicky in like Transformers, like.
Evil Shia LaBeouf. You saying Evil Shia LaBeouf would be an interesting plot twist?
You wouldn't want evil Shia LaBeouf.
Well, but evil Mark Wahlberg, that would work, right?
Evil Mark Wahlberg. Did they do that in Transformers?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I guess I didn't.
Extinction.
I guess I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
What
I got annoyed, and this is a tangent, but I got annoyed about like the beginning of it because like, it was, for some reason there was like, this director guy in the beginning. He's like, "Oh, people don't understand the original trilogy, man. The fourth film is even better or worse. I forget what it was, but it was like some really dumb thing that was that seemed like a commentary on like online critics that seemed very obnoxious to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it turned me off to the rest of the film.
Yeah, did they even test this game before they? Did they even test this movie before they released it? That's a really obscure internet reference there.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it did seem like they were trying to like show they were trying to like have you at the beginning with like we're gonna do things pretty different in this movie. We're gonna have a different setup, and we're gonna move you along to this next part of the movie. But then it kind of drags on in the middle.
In the middle, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just a bunch of like, just a bunch of sea life ASMR.
Yeah, it's like you just go on like YouTube, like Sea Life Ambience channel, and like, and it's like do 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 do, and like you're seeing all the fish swimming. Oh.
Keep going.
Oh, 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 oh. But
it has like the Disney music when they do Fantasmic or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, and also I think even Dad was saying stuff about how like this is like a kids movie.
He's looking at his phone.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
You're just sitting next to him. Yeah, we watched this movie with our dad because we felt like this is something we could watch.
He loved the first film.
He seemed like he was like all into like, oh, they made a second one? Let's watch this. He was like, he's not
a film buff remotely.
Yeah, so he was like into the idea of like watching a second movie in this series.
Yeah.
But then even after
I felt like he felt a little bit like Asian pride, like obligated to watch the film too.
Yeah, but then after he came out of the movie, he was like, that movie wasn't so good. But anyway, like, I think
I don't think he was satisfied with the length of the film, and everywhere
yeah, when he mentioned the
like the whole middle, they could have cut down a bit.
He mentioned the middle.
I don't normally complain about length of films, but I don't think that added anything to the film.
He mentioned that the middle part of the movie was like, this is like a kids movie, like it's all about these 5 kids and like, oh, they're picking on me because the bullies.
Yeah, like Jake Sully's not even. Why is Jake Sully even in this part of the film?
I think it was like the plot of Free Willy or something.
And like,
except that,
and like the wife has nothing to do either.
Right, and yeah,
maybe they couldn't get her because like she was filming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or something.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana was barely in this. I feel like.
And like Sam Worthington, they have no excuse for because like he hasn't been in a film since Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I did read a little bit about like where they want to take the franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should mention that.
Maybe at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's for a different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that would even be a spoiler.
Yeah.
To like even outside the scope of even watching this movie. So, but anyway, and like yeah, that's how deep spoilers can get online now. It's like you can spoil movies that aren't even out yet. And I don't even want to hear about it.
It's like the thing that that guy from the Chinese guy from the Daily Show was like, I don't want to decide things. I want it here right now. I don't want to wait one day. I don't want to wait 1 hour. I want you to decide what I want. Give me AI or whatever. Yeah. I don't want to think about it. Just give me what I want.
Yeah, so
I feel like
he seems like a pretty toxic fellow.
I feel like some of the aspects isn't like films. Like people don't want the same thing over again. They don't want something different, but they want something that you thought of before that they haven't thought of somehow. But they don't know what it is, so they're just gonna complain.
Yeah, and yeah, that's really, I mean, that's like really pulling magic out of a hat, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, and when people can do that, they really were trying to do a lot of that at the same time with this movie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was because they had to live in the legacy of the first movie is why they had to.
To be fair, I can't write a sequel to Avatar, so they did a better job than I would, and I don't consider myself a bad writer.
Yeah, so they had to like do a lot of stuff where like they had to like, yeah, they had to balance a lot of things where they have to like be a like still following the same elements of the first movie.
Yeah.
So people who like the first movie would like this one.
That's probably why they brought the Colonel back, because like they're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
And the first movie did well. If he's in this film and that film, the other film got to do well.
Right, and then they gotta also like make this movie kind of interesting on its own, so to have its own new elements.
Yeah.
With like the water stuff.
I like the children.
Right.
I like the character dynamic, the family dynamic, which is interesting.
Right, and like the new elements they introduced with that.
And the spider.
Right, that.
And wow, there's another tribe on Pandora.
New tribe, and then the fact that there are other tribes on Pandora is a whole nother concept. And then also they got to set up the fact that you can feel like they have a lot of room to explore sequels for this movie series as well.
Not only is there a water tribe, but there's like 1,000 water tribes on that.
Yeah, there's like there's a lot of water tribes in the water tribe too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, Jermaine Clement is in this as a marine biologist who drinks a lot.
Oh yeah, because like he's part of the military industrial complex. He doesn't like it.
He's like, I came to help marine life, and he's being.
Unfortunately, I'm part of the military now, and I hate it.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know how he would even get off the planet to do something else, really. He's kind of stuck there, right?
Also, like, this Jermaine Clement, when they filmed him, like, 10 years ago or something, it's not even like, he just filmed it.
He looks really different, right? Yeah.
I don't know, because, like, I don't know what he looks like, but, like, 10 years... The Jermaine Clement in this film is probably different from the Jermaine Clement now.
That's funny. They also said, like, this is a random thing. I don't think this is a spoiler. There's a general character in this, and, like, they interviewed her at some point, and she said, like, oh, I thought this movie came out already, but it bombed. Yeah. But apparently that's because she filmed her stuff 4 years ago.
Okay.
So that's why she felt like she didn't hear about it.
I haven't heard about it when it came out. It's like the third highest grossing film of the year.
Yeah.
It's just how... It's very peaceful now online, at least, I guess.
So, yeah. Well. Yeah, it's... I feel like not a lot of my circles have been... I feel like most of my circles...
It's not a very memey film.
It's not a very memey film. It's not a lot of cosplay you can do with the film. It's more like...
That's great, right? Like, you can't really... There's no Navi cosplay, yeah.
I feel like it doesn't
I guess
really
Spider you can cosplay as.
I don't know. There's like, I feel like Lord of the Rings... I was watching a lot of
Lord of the Rings is hard to cosplay, too, because like, how do you know it's Lord of the Rings and not another fantasy thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. I don't know.
There's actually like a Super Sentai character that looks like Spider.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, I don't know if you saw both of them and you'd be able to tell, like, which one was which if they were cosplaying as them.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of, like, weird characters that, like, would be hard to identify, Sigourney Weaver's in this movie.
Yeah.
As Sigourney Weaver's character in the first movie and, like, flashbacks and stuff.
And, like,
but apparently she's also...
Codex or whatever, yeah.
In, like, a codex or whatever. Yeah. But apparently she also motion captures her...
This is spoiled to me, like, online before I even watched the film also.
Oh, you learned that beforehand?
I didn't... Well, the thing is...
Even when
I didn't watch the film, so I didn't know who... They showed a picture of a Navi, and I didn't know who that was.
And then when you watched it, you were
I still didn't know which character she was.
So apparently she plays the daughter, her own daughter...
Yeah.
Through motion capture, through the power of motion capture.
Oh, that's who she played. I don't think you explained that to me. That makes sense.
Yeah. So like the character that's like.
It's only for motion capture. That the voice.
I don't know how they did the voice exactly. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah. I guess she's still fit and everything.
She's
she's still like a young motion cap stuff. Yeah.
Young face or whatever. Yeah.
Well, she did all the stunts for Aliens and Alien and all that stuff.
Yeah. Also, in terms of stunts for this, Kate Winslet set a film record for longest breath held under for a freediving stunt, which was over 7 minutes. Even though she was in the movie for less than 7 minutes or whatever, it felt like might as well have been less than 7 minutes.
So they made her breathe on the water, but they didn't use all of it or something.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, freediving underwater means you hold your breath underwater, I guess.
That's probably what they did in Titanic also.
Yeah, I guess she has experience with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's ever if there's a time where she's on the
Let's
cruise
get-
ship
let's
and
get-
it crashes, she's like, "Don't worry, guys, I got this. I know what to do. I know what to do. Follow me."
How many times is she gonna be? She's got another one going.
She's a cruise ship crash prepper.
Yeah, this is all thanks to James Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so the second act, yeah, we were talking about the second act of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, our dad was like, yeah, that was like a kid's movie. They just got into like a Free Willy kind of plot where it was all about bullying and stuff.
It's weird too, because like that bully kid is such an asshole, and like
And he doesn't come up later on.
he does come out later on.
It has nothing to do with anything, really.
He doesn't have anything to do.
The only thing
Stole
it,
it from me,
the only thing it progresses towards is
It just wastes some time, really.
it
And
progresses.
it brings you to the whale.
It brings you to the whale,
Yeah.
who becomes a plot point.
It becomes the most sympathetic character in the movie.
Your favorite character was the whale in the movie.
Because they didn't ruin it with any stupid plot points.
Yeah,
Like he's mistreated by the water tribe, and like he's the savior in the end.
yeah. Also, there's no unobtainium in this movie. Until,
I forgot about it until you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, in the first movie, it was all about the unobtainium.
Yeah.
This movie, they're like, oh, we don't care about unobtainium anymore. We just want the planet. But then they're like, no, wait a second. We want this stuff from the whales. It's worth more than $80 million a vial. And then they also don't care about it later on. They're just like, we need Jake Sully now. They're just,
The whole
what's
okay.
your priority here, guys? Do you have any idea how much
Don't
this
drop
costs?
it. Don't drop it. But
This-
you dropped it in the movie.
You have no idea how much this costs. This is worth more than all
What
the
kind of like
old-
comedy are they running? Right? Like all they do is build machinery stuff.
This also like it's from the brain fluid of the whales, but apparently it's for eternal life. Somehow, I don't think the whales live forever. Why is it for eternal life for humans
I don't know,
exactly?
maybe the well lives a while. I don't know.
Yeah,
That well's been around for a while.
right. The secret to slowing down aging or something.
Yeah.
But then even then, they don't use it. Nobody slows down their aging in this movie.
Yeah.
And also, whatever happened to the unobtainium? They just forgot about that. Like they come back to the planet and they're like, we don't care about that anymore. It's not a big
Which is
deal.
about Jake Sully, some bullshit. Yeah, the whole Jake Sully plot is a bunch of bullshit.
I guess
They don't explain it well.
they kinda-
Go with your explanation. Go
it's
ahead,
vaguely about like the Colonel wanting revenge for getting killed by Jake Sully.
But why does everyone else care? Like, you don't have to go with the Colonel.
They go along with him, I guess.
Yeah.
They're his crew.
Yeah.
Like they revived his crew to work with him again.
I don't know. I can't remember what he looked like in the first film.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to recognize them in this film too because they're all Na'vi people.
And it's the same in the budget. They don't show him as much as they show the Colonel.
I only recognize two of the Colonel's people. One is the one with like the aviator sunglasses, and then the other one's the woman, and then that's all I can recognize.
There's
The
like
woman
five
in
of them. That's it.
The woman in combat fatigues, and that's the only two I recognize.
I don't even know if I recognize them. It's just they stand out in this film because they look a little different.
Yeah, and yeah, so anyway, the middle part is like some filler, and then the final act has like two final acts. The final act is like a big action sequence where they face off between the Na'vi and the
We're back on the ship again.
ship, and then but then after the so anyway, the Na'vi the ocean Na'vi people fight off the Weyland Yutani people. I don't even know what they're called, really. Like, they
The
don't even say
Earthlings.
what they
The
are.
Earthlings.
The human
Sky people.
but they're not even they're sky people, but they're also Na'vi too, right? Like
Yeah.
they're
And
not,
I don't
also
get,
not even avatars.
I don't get why the birds or whatever, like the bird things, like even listen to the Navi who are AI or whatever, or clones or whatever.
They still use the hair loose stuff or whatever.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a scene where he like tames one or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, they have that whole thing where supposedly he's bonding with his son, and like that's like a bunch of like God of War like sequel bullshit to me, or like remake bullshit to me,
yeah,
in terms of like how a son and a father bond.
yeah, very, very, dude, bro, approach to it.
I remember that's what he did, but like I think it just came out of nowhere in the end, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a huge battle sequence. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's worth the price of admission. 3D action. Everybody's using all their powers and stuff.
yeah. There was that cool thing where like the gun reloads itself on the ship, which is the harpoon gun
There's
reloads
like
itself
crab,
mechanically.
right?
Yeah.
There's like crab robots grabbing things. There's like
They were emphasized a lot more in the first film than this film. They're like not a big thing.
there's like a whale destroying a cruise ship. There's like
The whale was badass, man.
there's like the Navi people flying, diving underwater, jumping above it, diving, jumping,
Yeah.
biting people off boats,
Yeah.
off like I don't even know what to call those boats, like those boats that like bounce
Military
in and
boats,
out.
I guess. Yeah.
Like they're not speedboats, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like night. I'm picturing like a night boat from Simpsons. Like.
They don't talk, right?
What?
Night the Avatar 2 night boats.
That'd be perfect. Then they totally be a night boat.
Colonel, we have to disobey that order, sir.
Yeah. Also, they kind of introduced like a lieutenant to the colonel in this movie, like who's the Australian guy, and he's like sort of this secondary villain in this movie.
And then the lady, like, you forget about her after a while.
The general is just introduced, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, she's gonna be this whole new villain, and they just drop her completely. I'm like, wait, what happened to her? Like, I totally forgot about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of things that, like, okay, I guess these are all things that could be part of a sequel.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, better payoff, but I don't know. You got to give me a little more or something here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were really trying to pack it in with the action sequences.
Another problem with this, like, Avatar thing is that it's not part of an existing franchise.
Yeah.
So you can't be like... Actually, how you could have done that was, like, at the end of this film, like, show that, like, is the Colonel in a Na'vi form revived. That would have been, like, the whole cinematic universe cameo moment that you could have done from MCU. But, like, there's just not enough characters that you can, like, reintroduce at the end of a film that would spawn a franchise with.
Right.
Because there's no existing stuff. There probably is, but, like, I don't know how much of it's well known. Like, with, like, Nick Fury at the end of, like, the first couple films or whatever.
Right. I also feel like they don't really create a lot of memorable characters.
Like, the characters they were
all the bad guys look the same to me, and like they're not like, oh, this guy's back. He was really cool. Like, there's not like a Captain Phasma or anything.
You see, Captain Phasma is alright, right? People can blame Captain Phasma, but like she's like the female leader of the stormtroopers or whatever they're called in the sequels.
Even though like they don't do much with her, I'm like, I wish they did more because she's an interesting looking character, right?
Yeah,
that seems
she
cool.
stands out.
Like, I don't think anyone in this crew really stood out. They're all just kind of gun-toting, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and they all kind of...
Even some of the Na'vi, like, don't stand out.
That's also kind of true.
Like, the last or second to last sequence, like, you don't even see them. They could have been, like, trying to help them survive the ship or something, and then, like, they totally ignore them.
I like the chieftain and the wife in the Ocean Tribe, though. Those seem like interesting characters.
Yeah.
Those seem like fine
And then, like, when they're, like, stuck on that ship when it's sinking, like, they're like, you're on your own.
Yeah. That leads to, like, the final act, which is, like, a sinking ship.
Yeah.
It's like you could tell they had, like, some kind of practical ship they had built.
I mean, I guess
kind of studio that they
it's pretty obvious, yeah.
So it's pretty amazing what they did for that.
I guess,
like, all the combination of, like, all the underwater motion capture and then also, like, these practical effects of, like, a sinking ship. They did all this really amazing work for this movie.
Yeah, if the Water Tribe guy did something, that would have been a lot more boring than them just, like, trying to survive a sinking ship.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But also they don't explain away they also don't give any explanation as to, like, why there isn't any interference at that point. They're just like, oh yeah, they're stuck on this ship now. But, like, where is everybody else during all this?
Also, yeah, like,
happening?
the water Na'vi can breathe underwater. So, like, they'd be very useful in that situation where they have to hold their breath in that ship.
So
the sinking.
They actually can't breathe underwater. They're just really good free divers.
But they'd be very helpful in that situation.
Yeah, they get really, really helpful, yeah. Also, they just straight up introduced this like butterfly backpack thing that lets you breathe underwater. Why don't they just carry that around everywhere they go? They should just have that at all times. Then you wouldn't need to deal with like
Magical Fairy Girl.
And then only Magical Fairy Girl. Also the Magical Fairy Girl is played by Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Her name is Kitty.
Yeah.
Kitty, kind of like Kitty, but Kitty. That character is also basically the same name as the character from Dark Crystal, Kira, who also is like a magical fairy girl who has like magical fairy wings.
Yeah.
And like communicates with the earth and stuff. Very, very similar kind of character.
Right.
Kind of trope there. Basically the same name as well.
Of course I can swim. I'm a girl.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, they just give her the magical ability to talk to all life on Pandora and the water and stuff. And then the kids, hey, you're like some kind of a freak or something. And then like, hey, back off of her, buddy. And like, I don't understand why I'm different, Dad. This is literally the story. And like, hey, you're not different. Come, tell me about it. This is terrible storytelling. I don't know.
It's a bunch of kids like bullying each other and like.
She has magical powers, and you guys are not freaking out about this. This is amazing. Like, I don't know. You guys have nothing better to do, and like, there's nothing.
These kids are all bullying. These kids are all bullying each other, and like.
And you kids can't do anything less
And
cliche.
you guys are parenting, and like. What exactly is Jake Sully doing to all that? Like, the kids are all like fighting each other. He's not watching his kids.
Hey, you gotta let kids fight their own battles, man.
Hey, well, that was a cool moment where he's like, "Okay, next time you gotta punch him in the face."
Yeah, but
And then like later the kid's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the one who went to see the well. I had nothing to do with the chieftain's son." And they're like, "That doesn't go anywhere because like they don't bring up the chieftain's son anymore."
Yeah.
And he doesn't even show up in the last battle or anything.
Yeah, I don't really remember him showing up in the last battle, and yeah. Anyway, and then there's a big showdown with the Colonel.
Yeah.
Which I think is like pretty cool how they escalated and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's very little emotional payoff for it because I don't feel that invested in the Colonel and stuff. I feel because like there's a standoff with like, oh, I'm gonna get Spider. You better watch out.
No, okay, let me set this up.
Anyway,
Let me set this up. So like, the Colonel gets one of the children. Like his friends to kill him, and is like, "Come on, Sully, give yourself up to him." And Spider's like, "No, don't do it," because like he's the romantic interest for that lady. And then, in a really dumb moment, because of all the stuff we said about like,
wait, Spider's the romantic interest for Kira?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway.
I thought it was at least because he kept grabbing the tail or whatever.
Alright, I don't remember. Okay,
Anyway. So like, what was I saying? So like, yeah, like, the Zoe Saldana character shows up and was like, well, you have our offspring, we're gonna get your offspring.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense because like, he doesn't show. First off, like he doesn't show any emotion for Spider when they're like in all those scenes together. And second off, like, do you want him to show emotions for Spider in the film? Because like, wouldn't that go against like the whole thing you're advertising with this character to begin with? That's supposedly appealing that he's like this badass evil character.
I mean, it's like if he doesn't have any weaknesses like that, he literally have no kryptonite or whatever. Basically, like this is his one weak point.
I mean,
in the whole
he has
movie.
some weaknesses, like he can't speak Na'vi well or something.
His weaknesses might be his kneecaps or something. Like, I don't know.
Kneecaps?
Do you have any weaknesses? My kneecaps. I don't know.
Yeah, it can't be his hair because he has a crew cut.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's got to be his only he has no relations with anybody in the. He's like
the Joker. He has no family in the Dark Knight. He has no family. No one knows him. He has no origin.
He has
for some reason, he has no origin.
He has no origin. He has no labeled weapons. He has custom tailored clothing.
Right. No
Unmarked
weapons, just knives and cards or whatever.
Yeah, so
All to build up. I don't even know why they had to keep him alive in this film. Like,
yeah,
you
so that was
you just established that he has they can clone AI him.
yeah.
So like, why do you have to keep him alive in this film? Just build another one for the next
Yeah,
one.
he also says like, "I will come after your family and kill them if you don't face off with me right now, Jake Sully. I will kill your family." And then Spider's like, "Man, I can't kill him. That wouldn't be right."
No, don't be really. You can't kill him because like you're an idiot. That's why.
I don't know. I felt. I don't know. I guess I get it though. Like he spared.
So,
he
yeah,
spared
I
his
do-
life.
I-
He spared his life.
There's that thing, and what they tried to do but failed was like they wanted to do a parallel where Jake Sully has a family, and the Colonel has a family.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
it fails
exactly.
horribly because like there's no emotional attachment that I
Yeah.
can see at least between the Colonel and Spider.
I wish they could have like escalated the stakes of that a little more, like, or like just made you feel more invested, or made that a little more believable. Yeah.
If it was believable, that would have been very good.
I think a little bit of it happens in the scene where like Spider's showing them the way of the Na'vi when he's like getting his first bird creature and stuff, and they're like bonding over that and everything. But that's
Later on, like he's like burning the towns of like the water clans and stuff, and like
Yeah.
this is like nothing. All that's down the window after those scenes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, this guy's like a ruthless killer. Like I don't know. He's really not.
It's not like you watch Halloween and then when you go to Mike Myers, you're like, "Well, I gotta keep you alive. I'm your son."
Yeah.
Like I gotta save him from that burning building. Like this is for the betterment of the mankind.
Mikey Myers?
I'm his son, Mikey Myers.
Spider Myers?
Mr. Myers, I'm your son.
Larry Burns.
Larry Burns.
All right.
I was born in this highway off the middle of the road. I had this relic. I had this antique shop, and now I'm here in your mansion.
Yeah, Larry Burns. That was a good episode of Simpsons. I'm glad we watched
That,
that.
that was better than this movie. Well, storyline wise,
Yeah.
not in terms of production.
Yeah.
It's like that the visual storytelling and like the whole thing with the water tank is better than the animation that Simpsons had at the time.
Yeah, I agree. I would pay $16 to watch Avatar's production values.
Yeah.
But I would be more entertained by watching an episode of Simpsons.
Especially with Larry Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like definitely like go back to be like, oh, I just want to see this clip of like this scene where they're swimming in the water again, or like seeing what the action sequence was like, or seeing the sinking ship again, just on like YouTube or whatever, just to be reminded of what the theatrical experience was like. And like the 3D was pretty good in this. I feel like usually like in the past, I'm not always that into 3D, but like this time it felt like, oh, this 3D is like actually working pretty nicely.
And I think something you mentioned that was pretty good is like they could have fixed stuff. Like it's not like well, some stuff they can't fix because like Spider grew like 10 years from whenever he first was in the film. But like there was some plot stuff they could have fixed up, and they had plenty of time to do it. And, like they didn't have to release it right away. They already rated like 13 years for a sequel. But like if they had just fixed that stuff, it'd be a perfectly fine movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The budget was probably growing and growing enough as
I
it was
mean,
going.
There's probably someone that's like, no, you just gotta release it. We gotta make some money, cover losses.
just get it out there. We gotta hit that date.
I mean, yeah, like we heard about like Christopher Nolan, right? And like Oppenheimer, and like he makes that whole nuclear explosion or whatever it is that we heard about.
They don't say what it. Okay, this is another movie that we saw a preview for, Oppenheimer. So they don't say if they made a nuclear explosion, but they said they had a practical effect for a nuclear explosion.
Oh wait, so is it? Maybe it's like a miniature, and then they like green screen or something.
It could have been a miniature or something.
Okay, they didn't make that clear in the articles I was reading. Was the thing?
Yeah, they left it a little ambiguous. The article I read said that the marketing people left it ambiguous as well. Like they're like, what they mean by this, we're unsure, but this is what they told us.
That was a really bad move by the marketing people. But in any case,
I think
like,
that's deliberate, though. They want it to sound like like to make people freak out a little bit, like for the sake of like
one of the
watching
worst
it.
movies
Yeah.
ever made was made out of nuclear. I forget if it was a nuclear plant or like a nuclear test site, but like it was made there, and
Oh my gosh.
it was horrible. That's why
Oh,
it's one of
like
the worst
it-
films of all time.
Oh, you mean like a lot of the crew got sick and stuff?
Yeah.
Like that? I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard about that movie. Yeah.
But in any case, like, there's some stuff you can't do, like that kind of explosion or like the whole set with like the end of Avatar 2 with like the ship sinking. That costs a lot of money, and after a while, like, it looks really good, but after a while, like, if you don't get the movie done, like, you're gonna just waste all the money that you just spent just to set up all these things.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think they can wait like another winter season to release this movie. They got to release it 2022. I don't
Not to
think
mention, like, there's multiple movies after this
yeah.
that you have to wait also for them to finish.
Right, there's like a whole pipeline going.
Yeah.
They've already filmed some of the characters for the movie after this and the movie after that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
Avatar 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So they already did some filming for those
Yeah.
movies already.
Yeah.
Also, some actors for this movie,
Yeah.
they did all their filming in like a month. And even if they were like a major character or whatever, sometimes.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be like a director's cut where they redo it. It's all perfectly fine, the story and everything.
Yeah.
And then we're like, no, why were we so angry about this all the whole time? It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it'll all be fine in retrospect or whatever. Who knows?
Yes. And honestly, no one really cares. I don't know anyone who's talking about the movie other than us.
I mean,
I enjoyed my hot dog.
Everyone's gonna be
I
watching.
enjoyed my Nathan's fries.
Everyone's gonna be watching this movie anyway. You probably already watched this.
Yeah.
Like it made $1 billion in the fastest time. For like I don't know, like
It's
in
the
one of the fastest
2020s
times, less
also.
than 2 weeks. Like,
Also, it's the 2020s. We have other stuff we need to worry about, man.
yeah, that's what a lot of this comes down to, right?
Yeah.
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 I get my hot dog for $5. Hey, there's inflation, but whatever. I'm
Yeah,
not
like,
a hot
yeah.
dog. Nathan's hot dog.
Yeah.
All right, that's a pretty good way to end a review. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Let's get a Nathan's hot dog and Nathan's French fries. Yeah. All right. See ya.
All right, take care. We need a hard out.
Pure PhD out.
Peace.
Peace.